Precocious as adjective. Developing or achieving intellectual or emotional maturity at an earlier age than is typical. Exhibiting remarkable talent, intelligence, or ability at an early age. The precocious child was reading at a college level by the age of 8. The young artist's precocious talent earned them a scholarship to study at a prestigious art school. The precocious musician was playing complicated pieces on the piano at a very young age. The prodigy's precocious abilities in mathematics astounded their teachers and peers. The precocious entrepreneur started their first business at the age of 12. Presumptuous as adjective. Boldly presuming or assuming without proper justification. Overstepping one's bounds or showing excessive confidence, especially by making assumptions or taking liberties that are not warranted. He was being presumptuous to assume that she would automatically agree to his proposal. Her presumptuous behavior made everyone feel uncomfortable. It's presumptuous to assume that you know what someone else is thinking. He made a presumptuous comment that showed he didn't understand the situation. It's presumptuous to think you know what someone else wants. Prosaic as adjective. Lacking in imagination or excitement. Dull and commonplace. Plain and simple in style or language. Lacking in elegance or flair. The novel was criticized for its prosaic writing style. The speaker's prosaic speech failed to engage the audience. The movie was entertaining, but its plot was too prosaic and predictable. The poet's attempt at a prosaic style fell flat, lacking any poetic depth. The team's performance was prosaic, lacking any excitement or creativity. Recondite as adjective. Hard to understand. Obscure or esoteric. The language in the legal contract was recondite, making it hard for the average person to comprehend. The book delved into recondite topics like quantum physics and relativity. The artist's work was considered recondite by some critics who found it difficult to understand. The philosopher's theories were too recondite for most people who preferred simpler explanations. The professor's lectures were often recondite, with complex ideas and terminology. Restive as adjective. Being difficult to control or manage. Easily agitated or restless. Impatient, especially under restraint or delay. The restive crowd refused to disperse. The restive child could not sit still during the class. The restive horse kept bucking and refusing to obey its rider. The restive employee demanded a pay raise. The restive region experienced frequent protests and unrest. Resurgent as adjective. Growing or increasing in strength or power after a period of decline or weakness. Showing a new growth or revival after a period of inactivity or decline. The resurgent economy led to increased job opportunities. The resurgent team won the championship after years of losing. The resurgent interest in vintage fashion inspired a new clothing line. The resurgent virus caused concern among health officials. The resurgent popularity of vinyl records led to a spike in sales. Serene as adjective. Calm, peaceful, and untroubled, especially in the face of adversity or stress. Tranquil, undisturbed, and free from agitation or disturbance. The serene lake was a peaceful oasis in the midst of the bustling city. The yoga studio had a serene atmosphere that helped me relax and unwind. The serene expression on her face made me feel calm and reassured. Walking through the serene forest, I felt a sense of connection to nature. The serene beauty of the sunset took my breath away. Sordid as adjective. Dirty, filthy, or unclean, especially in a physical sense. Morally degraded or depraved, characterized by corruption or vice. The sordid details of the scandal were revealed in the news. He was involved in a sordid affair with a married woman. The living conditions in the tenement were sordid and unsafe. The sordid history of the organization was exposed by investigative reporters. The sordid reality of the drug trade was portrayed in the movie. Specious as adjective, appearing to be true or valid, but actually being false or misleading, having a deceptive or false appearance of being reasonable or well-founded. The company's claims of environmentally friendly practices were specious, as they continued to pollute the air and water. The politicians' arguments were specious and lacked evidence. The salesman's promises were specious and turned out to be empty. The writer's specious reasoning undermined the credibility of the entire article. The defendant's alibi was deemed specious by the prosecutor. Subversive as adjective, aiming to overthrow or undermine an established government or political system, tending to overthrow or undermine an established system or authority. The subversive group aimed to overthrow the ruling regime. The artist's work was seen as subversive by some critics. The book was banned for its subversive content. The revolutionary subversive ideas inspired many people to take action. The government considered the organization to be subversive. Surly as adjective, bad-tempered and unfriendly, sullen and hostile, ill-natured and grumpy, morose and unfriendly. He gave me a surly look when I asked him for help. The surly waiter made our dining experience unpleasant. His surly attitude towards his coworkers made him unpopular. She replied in a surly tone, indicating she was annoyed. He left in a surly mood after the meeting. Taciturn as adjective, inclined to silence or speaking very little. Reserved or uncommunicative in speech, saying little. The taciturn man rarely spoke to anyone. Despite being interviewed, the taciturn athlete gave short answers. The taciturn student did not participate in class discussions. The taciturn worker kept to themselves and focused on their tasks. The taciturn neighbor never greeted anyone in the building. Tenacious as adjective, holding fast or clinging tightly to something, often in the face of opposition or difficulty, tending to keep a firm hold on something, persistent in maintaining or pursuing something. Her tenacious spirit helped her overcome many obstacles. The tenacious athlete never gave up, even when faced with injuries. The tenacious student was determined to succeed despite setbacks. The tenacious lawyer fought for her client until the very end. The tenacious plant was able to survive in harsh conditions. Vindictive as adjective, describing someone who is vengeful or malicious, often with the aim of causing harm or retribution, tending to seek revenge or hold grudges, often in an excessive or unwarranted manner. Her vindictive attitude towards her ex-husband was evident in the way she talked about him to their children. The judge accused the prosecutor of being vindictive towards the defendant. His vindictive actions towards his co-workers resulted in his termination from the company. The coach's vindictive behavior towards certain players on the team caused tension and conflict. The vindictive nature of the gossip in the office led to a toxic work environment. Aberrant as adjective, abnormal or deviant, departing from an accepted standard or normal. The biologist discovered an aberrant gene in the DNA sequence. Her aberrant behavior raised concerns among her coworkers. The aberrant weather conditions caused havoc across the region. The athlete's aberrant performance was attributed to an injury sustained during training. The painting's aberrant style caught the attention of the art critics. Anodyne as adjective. Capable of relieving pain, soothing. Not likely to offend or provoke to anger, mild. The movie was anodyne, with a predictable plot and bland characters that failed to engage the audience. The politician's speech was anodyne, avoiding controversial topics and focusing on vague promises and platitudes. The music was anodyne, lacking in creativity or originality and relying on generic melodies and lyrics. The book was anodyne, with a safe and unchallenging narrative that did not take any risks or explore complex themes. The conversation was anodyne, with polite small talk that avoided any sensitive or contentious topics. Belligerent as adjective. Hostile and aggressive in nature or behavior, relating to or engaged in war or warfare. The belligerent drunkard was causing a disturbance in the bar. The coach criticized the player for his belligerent behavior on and off the field. The country's belligerent stance on territorial disputes led to international condemnation. The student was sent to the principal's office for his belligerent attitude towards the teacher. The party guests were taken aback by the host's belligerent outburst. Besotted as adjective. Characterized by being deeply and foolishly in love or infatuated. Overwhelmed by a strong feeling of affection or admiration. He was besotted with his new girlfriend, constantly talking about her and wanting to spend all his time with her. The fan was besotted with the musician, following them on tour and collecting all their albums and merchandise. She was besotted with her new puppy, doting on it and showering it with love and attention. The child was besotted with their favorite toy, refusing to go anywhere without it and sleeping with it every night. He was besotted with the idea of traveling the world, dreaming of exotic destinations, and planning out his adventures. Bilious is adjective. Ill-tempered or irritable, relating to or affected by bile, especially characterized by an excess of bile in the stomach and intestines. The food at the restaurant was so bad that it left her feeling bilious and nauseous. His bilious demeanor made it difficult for others to work with him, as he was always quick to criticize and never gave praise. The politician's bilious speech was full of angry, inflammatory language that only served to divide people further. The weather was so hot and humid that it made everyone feel bilious and sluggish. The toxic work environment created by the boss's bilious behavior led to high turnover and low morale among employees. Callow as adjective. Having little or no experience of the world. Immature or inexperienced. The young singer's voice was callow, lacking the depth and richness of more seasoned performers. The teenager's behavior was callow, showing a lack of maturity and judgment. The writer's first novel was callow, with underdeveloped characters and a predictable plot. The politician's speeches were callow, lacking substance, and failing to address the important issues. The new intern was callow and inexperienced, often making mistakes on the job. Level up your English. Master vocabulary, idioms, and phrasal verbs with fun quizzes. Translate meanings into 104 languages. Download now. Link in the description. Please like and subscribe to our channel.